This video demonstrates how to sew a fly fastening or fly opening. The example here is on a men's wear pair of trousers. So here I am tailor tacking the fly shape. So I have my needle threaded and I'm just going in and out along this line. So it's like a running stitch, but I'm just going to leave it a little bit loose. And the reason you leave it a little bit loose is so there's a little bit of slack when you trim it. You'll see it will just leave the threads a little bit long so they don't pull out. If they're very, very short, they pull out very easily and you lose them. So I usually leave a little bit, like maybe like that, so you could put a finger in underneath. And so you just go in and out all the way down along this shape here. So what I have here is the trousers with the fly shape marked out, and this would be the fly shield. So this piece has already been cut and it already has fusing on it. So this piece will fit along here, will be stitched, and we'll sit back that way to finish that side off. And then it's called the fly shield. Again, it's been cut out and it's been fused, and I've pressed it like this, and this piece will be the piece that sews like that, and is the shield for the zip. So the first things we do is overlock this piece together, and you would overlock that piece as well. Because of the COVID-19 crisis, I don't have an overlocker. However, I'm just going to zigzag stitch this together along. So here are the pieces, and we have zigzagged them there, and I'm just zigzagged just slightly in from the edge, and I'm going to trim off the edge. So I have my trouser front here, and this is the fly facing, and the first thing we're going to do is line this right up along there, along the center front line, and pin and stitch that along. The fly facing has been sewn on, and I'm just going to layer this down. So I'm going to trim off this facing seam allowance just a little bit, and then I'm going to understitch. So for the understitch, you take the seam allowance and push it over, and you're going to be stitching a tiny little stitch line all along here, and that will hold that back so it doesn't peep out. And so there is your understitch, just a tiny little stitch line just there, and it holds the facing back nicely. So next we're going to place the zip down on the facing. So this is a close end zip. That is the correct measurement, and we're going to place it like that. We're going to pin it along, and we're going to pin this side of the zip up, because this will fold back, and this gets a little bit in the way of the stitching that comes at one of the later stages. So you want to be sure that you get the measurement correct of your fly and your zip, that they match. So you can see the little fastener there is coming right to the end of that mark, and I have my nice seam allowance there, 1.5 at the top. So what we're going to do is machine baste a stitch line along here just to hold it in place. That will be ripped out later. So basting stitch is just a temporary stitch that holds something in place. And on the other side then we will do a row of stitching close enough to the zip teeth and one a little bit further out. You can get away with just the one, but the second one there just secures the tape into place. So I'm going to be placing this along here, and for pinning it, just want to line up the zip teeth at the edge here of this seam. And then I will pin down, get it lined up that way. That way, as we're going to be stitching here, and it's just a little inside the zip teeth, when we fold it back, it will be placed correctly. So you might be able to see, if you roll the teeth down like that, they're placed right next to the seam. And now I'm going to machine baste along here. So it's lined up in the top and the bottom and correctly this way. So I've turned the dial on the sewing machine. This is the stitch length dial, so I've turned it all the way down to the longest stitch length. So that just makes the seams easier to rip out at the end. So it's on its longest stitch length, and I've got a zip foot there, and I'm going to stitch along. So here we have it basted on, and you can check quickly to just see that it's evenly sewn, and then we're going to stitch the second side on. So you need to stitch about 1 millimeter away from the zip teeth, just so that the zip can actually still function and zip up and down. And so you'll have one in there close to the zip teeth, and then one further out here to hold and secure the zip tape down. Okay, so then your zip has your basting stitch there and your 2 rows of stitches securing on the left hand side of the zip. So it's ready to go. So here it is now from the front. I've untacked this basting stitch, and I can check and see my zip is positioned nicely. The teeth are going to be covered there nicely by this side. So it's all lined up, and I'm going to pin, and I'm going to stitch right alongside this. So the hand tacking that's there is a guide for the top stitching to create the stitch for the front fly. We can now pull out our tacking stitches and remove them. Next, take your fly shield, and we're going to place that along here, along this side of the zip. And we're going to pin and stitch it, secure it into place. So now that's been stitched on there. That's the fly shield. And the last step is to stitch this side, the left side, onto the zip. You place it there and top stitch it just along here. So this has already been folded back 1 centimeter and pressed, because this side has been placed 0.5 in from the edge, and this is 1 centimeter, so that will make the 1.5. So there you go, that's been stitched all along here, and then we can zip that up, and we have our finished fly fastening.